Okay. So coming to the fifth questions from our book exercise. Look at the question. A given coin has a mass of 3 gram. Okay. The given coin has a mass of 3 gram. Calculate the nuclear energy that would require to separate all the neutrons and the protons from each other. So there is a coin and the coin mass is 3 gram. And what type of coin it is made up of, they mention at last. Okay, it is a copper coin and it is 29 copper 63. Okay, so the mass of the coin is 3 gram and we are going to calculate the nuclear energy. So calculate the nuclear energy that would require to separate all the neutrons and the protons from each other in the coin. Assume the coin is entirely made up of copper 2963 atoms and the atomic mass of the copper is given, that is 62.92960 unit. Okay, so first you write the given data. Mass of the coin, that is m dash is equal to 3 gram. So we are going to calculate total number of atoms present in this copper coin. Total atoms present in copper 2960 coin, that is equal to Avogadro number into mass of the coin by atomic mass, or the mass number of the coin. Mass number. So that is n is equal to, we know the Avogadro number, that is 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 into 3 grams divided by mass number. What is the mass number? We know the mass number of the coin is 63. So the final answer would be, after the simplification, it is 2.868 into 10 to the power 22 atoms. So this much atoms are present in this given copper coin. Okay. Actually, in the copper, in this copper atoms, how many protons and how many neutrons are there? We know this is the proton number and this is the mass number. From the mass number, we can find the proton number of neutron too. Also, copper 2963 contains 29 protons as well as 34 neutrons, because 29 plus 34, which is equal to 63, that is the mass number of the copper. Okay, so now we are going to find the mass defect. So mass defect of the coin is, that is delta m, which is equal to, we know the formula, ZMP plus A minus Z Mn minus M. Okay, so what is the minus M indicate? So minus M is nothing but the original atomic mass of the copper coin. So this is atomic mass M. Okay. So substitute all the value in this given formula. So 29 into mass of the proton, we know what is the mass of the proton, 1.007825 plus number of neutron, we know it's 34. 34 into mass of the neutron is 1.008665 minus the atomic mass of the copper is given, that is 62.92960 unit. So after the simplification, the mass defect is 0.591935 unit. Okay, so this is the mass defect. Therefore, mass defect for all the atoms present in the coin. Therefore, mass defect of all the atoms present in the coin. So what is the mass defect of all the atoms present in the coin? That is delta M, which is equal to, how many atoms are there? Yes, we need to multiply. So 0.591935 U into 2.868 into 10 to the power 23, which is equal to, after the multiplications, it is 1.69766 into 10 to the power, it goes on, into 10 to the power 22 units. So we found the mass defect, that is mass defect of all the atoms present in the coin. But what is the aim? We have to calculate the nuclear energy, which is used to separate the coin into protons and neutrons. Okay, so we know already 1 unit, which is equal to 931.5 mega electron volt by C square. So for the mass defect of all the atoms present in the coin, therefore delta M, which is equal to 1.69766 into 10 to the power 22 into 931.5 mega electron volt by square of the speed of light. So we need to find the nuclear energy, no? So energy required to break the given coin into protons and neutrons are, that is energy required, which is equal to delta M C square. So the required energy is equal to delta M, we know, already we found. So 1.69766 into 10 to the power 22 into 931.5 mega electron volt by C square, already there. Now into C square. So both cancels. So after the simplifications, the final answer would be 1.581 into 10 to the power 25 mega electron volt. Okay, but in atomic scale, we should not specify the energy in electron volt. So here mostly we used to specify in electron volt, but here we are going to convert the energy, because how much energy is required to separate the coin into protons and neutrons from each other. So converting this electron volt into joule, we know already 1 electron volt is equal to 1.602 into 10 to the power minus 19 joule. Therefore 1 mega electron volt is equal to, mega means 10 to the power 6. Here 10 to the power 19 minus 19 is there. So then it becomes 10 to the power minus 13. Substitute. So 1.581 into 10 to the power 25 into 1.602 into 10 to the power minus 13 joule. Then finally the energy required is 2.5296 into 10 to the power 12 joule. So this much amount of energy is needed for the copper coin to separate them into protons and neutrons each other. Okay, it's a very simple questions. Once again, I'll repeat, listen carefully. There is a coin given to you and the mass of the coin is just 3 gram. It's okay. So the mass of the coin is just 3 gram. We are going to calculate how much nuclear energy that would require to separate into protons and neutrons together. And they mention, assume the coin is entirely made of copper 2963 atoms, in which the atomic mass of the copper is 62.92960 unit. Okay, only 3 simple steps. First we need to find the number of atoms present in the coin. Okay, so the number of atoms present in the coin is equal to Avogadro number into mass of the given coin divided by mass number. We know the Avogadro number, that is 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 into mass of the coin divided by the atomic masses. What is atomic masses? Mass number is 63. Then after simplification, we got this much atom present in the copper coin. Therefore, copper contains 29 protons and 34 neutrons. Okay, So we need to find the mass defect of the copper coin. So mass defect is equal to, substitute the values in the formula. The mass of the proton is a constant value. Similarly, the mass of the neutron also constant value. And the original mass of the copper is given. That is 62.92960. Okay. After substituting and simplifying, we got the mass defect of the copper coin. Therefore, mass defect of all the atom present in the coin, which is equal to these two values need to combine now. Okay. After the combinations, we got the mass defect in unit, because atomic mass mostly should be represented in atomic mass unit only. Okay. We need energy, no? So to convert this into energy, 1 unit value we know. Therefore, the mass defect is equal to how much mega electron volt by the square of speed of light. So energy required to break from Einstein relation, which is equal to delta m c square. So delta m is a mass defect. We found it, divided by c square. So both get cancelled. Then we got the answer in mega electron volt. But we need the energy value in joule. So converting this electron volt into joule, we are substituting this value. Then finally we got 2.5296 into 10 to the power 12 joule of energy, which is required for the copper coin to break into protons and neutrons from each other. Coming to the question number 11, look at the question. Obtain the approximately the ratio of the nuclear radii of gold isotope and the silver isotope. Okay, there are two isotopes are given, with the nuclear radius are given. So we are going to find the ratio of the nuclear radius. Okay, they given gold isotope and the silver isotope. So in each isotope's nuclear radii ratios we are going to determine. Okay. So for the solution, so first we consider the nuclear radius is equal to nuclear radius of the gold isotope, that is Au 79.197, which is equal to RAU. Similarly, the corresponding silver isotope, and we can get the mass number of the gold. The gold, which is equal to 197. Similarly, gold is over. Similarly, for a silver isotope, nuclear radius of silver isotope, that is Ag 47107, which is equal to R of Ag. We don't know, so we keep like this. And what is the mass of silver isotope? Therefore, the mass number of silver isotope is 107. But what they are asking you to find? Ratio of nuclear radii of the gold and the silver. So now only the solution starts. So our ratio between the radius of the gold isotope and the radius of the silver isotope, which is equal to, we know the formula, R is equal to R naught into A power 1 by 3, no? Yes. So in the both R naught and A cancel away, and R alone will be there and A is cancel away. So RAU whole power 1 by 3 divided by RAG whole power 1 by 3. So we can write it as radius of the gold isotope by the radius of silver isotope whole power 1 by 3. And we know their corresponding mass number. Okay, so we can substitute that 197 by 107 whole power 1 by 3, which is equal to, by taking the ratio 197 by 107, which is equal to 1.8411215 whole power 1 by 3. So we need to use the log method. After the log method, the final ratios are 1.2256. So this is the ratio of the nuclear radii of the gold nucleus. Okay. Next we are moving to the 16th question. Because 12, 13, 14, 15, these questions are all related to half-life periods and the omitted topics, deleted portions. So 16th is relevant to that. The topic is in our book. So we are going to see the 16 questions. Look at the questions. Suppose we think of the fission of iron nucleus into two equal fragments of aluminum, which means, listen, a iron nuclei, the mass of iron nuclei, that is Fe2656, is fission into two equal fragments of aluminum, that is Al28 okay. Is the fission energetically possible? Energetically, the fission is possible or not? Because we know the concept already. In a fission, nuclear fission concept we have studied. For a energetically fission process, the Q value must be positive. So we are going to find the Q value. From finding the Q value only, we can determine whether the fission reaction is energetically possible or not possible. Okay. So we are going to determine the Q value. So Q value is equal to similarly mc square, no? So the mass of iron minus the two fragments, 2 into mass of the aluminium 1328, then C square. Okay. And question itself they given the atomic mass of iron as well as the atomic mass of the aluminium. So directly we can substitute. So what is the value of the mass of the iron? It is 55.93494 unit minus 2 into aluminium mass 27.98191 unit into C square. Okay. So after taking the difference of these two, okay, the final value would be minus 0.0288 C square. This is Q value. Okay. This is Q value. But we know that 1 unit is equal to 931.5 mega electron volt by C square. Therefore, the Q value is equal to 0.0288 C square into unit, no? Yes, we forgot the unit. So into what is a unit? 1 unit is equal to 931.5 mega electron volt by C square. So both cancel away. Then the final value would be, yes, here minus. So minus, note that here minus is there because the Q value comes in minus. Here itself minus. So minus 26.902 mega electron volt. So we found the Q value of the fission of iron into two fragments of aluminum. The answer comes in negative. For negative Q value, mostly the fission is not energetic. Okay. So is the fission energetically possible? No, because we got the value that comes in negative. Now question number 17. Look at the question. The fission properties of plutonium 94-239 are very similar to those of uranium 92-235. The average energy released for fission is 180 mega electron volt. How much energy in mega electron volt is released if all atoms in 1 kilogram of pure plutonium undergoes a complete fission? Similarly, already we know what is a fission, breaking of heavy nuclei into two or more lighter nuclei. So how the uranium undergoes fission? Same like if as pure plutonium undergoes a complete fission reaction, how much energy is liberated? That only we are going to calculate. And they mentioned the average energy released for fission is 180 mega electron volt. So now we are going to solve. Average energy, that is average energy, which is equal to 180 mega electron volt, and the mass of the pure plutonium, mass of pure plutonium, that is Pu 94239, which is equal to 1 kilogram. How much I have mentioned? Yes, 1 kilogram, that is equal to 1000 gram. Okay, and we know the Avogadro number too. So Avogadro number, which is 6.023 into 10 to the power 23. Then the atomic mass of the mass number of the plutonium. Mass number of the plutonium 94,239, which is equal to, this is atomic number, this is mass number. So 239 is the mass number of the plutonium, and 1 mole of plutonium contains Na atoms. Therefore, 1 milligram of plutonium 94,239 contains which is equal to Avogadro number into mass of the given substance divided by the mass number, that much atoms. Okay, so substitute all the values. Avogadro number 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 into the mass of the pure plutonium, it's 1000, no? It's 1000 divided by the mass number of the plutonium is 239 atoms. So which is equal to 2.52 into 10 to the power 24 atoms. So we got one thing. Okay, we are going to calculate the energy released. Okay, so energy released during the fission of during the fission of 1 kg of pure plutonium 94,239, that is equal to, what is the value? Average energy into this value what we found, that is 2.52 into 10 to the power 24, that is equal to average energy. We know what is the average energy, question itself they given 180 mega electron volt into 2.52 into 10 to the power 24. So the mega electron volt, you write it at last, mega electron volt. Okay, so finally we got the value, this 4 point, after the multiplication of this two, 4.536 into 10 to the power 26 mega electron volt. So by using the 1 kilogram of pure plutonium completely into fission reaction, which is same like a uranium involved in a fission, the energy release will be 4.536 into 10 to the power 26 mega electron volt. Very simple question. The fission, actually plutonium undergoes a fission reaction same like a uranium involved, and the average energy for fission is given, it is 180 mega electron volt. So how much energy in mega electron volt is released if all the atoms of the 1 kilogram of uranium, note it, 1 kilogram of pure plutonium, if it is completely undergoes a fission, then how much energy is liberated? So first we will write what they given. Average energy is given, it is 180 mega electron volt. and the mass of the plutonium is 1 kilogram, so that is 1000 gram, and the Avogadro number also we know, and the mass number of the plutonium is 239. Okay, and 1 mole of the plutonium contains this much atom, means then 1 kilogram of the plutonium, 1 kilogram of the plutonium contains this much atoms. So substitute. So 1 kilogram of plutonium contains 2.52 to 10 to the power 24 atoms. Therefore, if 1 kilogram of pure plutonium completely undergoes fission reaction, then the energy released will be E, that is average energy into this much atoms involved. So average energy we have found it is 180 mega electron volt, and 2.52 to 10 to the power 24 atoms are involved completely in 1 kilogram of plutonium involved fission. Then after multiplying this would be the final value. That is 4.536 into 10 to the power 26 mega electron volt of energy is released if 1 kilogram of pure plutonium that undergoes a fission like uranium. Okay. Now coming to 20th question. Look at the question carefully. Calculate the height of the potential barrier for a head-on collision. Okay, one deuteron collide with another one deuterons. So that is a head-on collision of two deuterons. And look at in the bracket. Height of the potential barrier is given by Coulomb repulsion, because deuteron and another one deuterons both is the same, no? So the charge weight it is equal to the charge of an electron. So both also get repulsed. So the Coulomb repulsion between the two deuterons when they just touch each other. And assume the sphere radius is 2 fermi-meter. This is the radius of each deuteron. Listen. So one deuteron, this is deuteron 1, collide with another one deuteron. So both undergo head-on collisions. Okay, just they touch each other. So for a first deuteron, they given the radius that is 2 fermi-meter R1, and for the second deuteron also the radius is same, that is R2. Okay, R1 and this is R2. What are we going to calculate? Height of the potential barrier. So what is the height of the potential barrier when the two deuterons are undergoes the head-on collision? Okay. So in this case, this is for a first deuteron, this is for a second deuteron. So the mean distance, this is deuteron, don't think as a D1 and D2. D1 stands for first deuteron, D2 is the second deuteron. But D is the distance of closest approach when the two deuterons comes in direct contact, just touch each other. Okay. So the distance which is equal to, this is one 2 fermi-meter, this is another one 2 fermi-meter. So 2 fermi-meter plus 2 fermi-meter, which is equal to 4 fermi-meter. That we can write it as 4 into 10 to the power minus 15 meter. Okay. And the charge on the deuteron, which is equal to charge on the electron. So that too we can write here. Charge on deuteron, because that contains electrons, no? That is equal to charge of an electron. That is E is equal to 1.602 into 10 to the power minus 19 Coulomb. Therefore, the potential barrier, already in the first volume we have seen. So the potential barrier is equal to 1 by 4 by epsilon naught into E square by D. But the value of 1 by 4 by epsilon naught we know. That is equal to 9 into 10 to the power 9. Then the charge is given 1.602 into 10 to the power minus 19 the whole square divided by the distance 4 into 10 to the power minus 15. So the answer comes in joule, the potential, yes. But in electron volt we need to find, yes. So the answer comes in the volt. So after substituting and rearranging, finally the value is 360 kilo electron volt. So the potential barrier, the height of the potential barrier would be 360 kilo electron volt. Okay. I think you are very clear. There are two new deuterons, both also undergoes head-on collision, and each deuteron radius is given. So the distance of closest approach D is equal to 4 fermi-meter, we know that. So the potential barrier we have calculated by substituting all the values. Since the charge of a deuteron which is equal to charge of an electron, because deuteron that contains only one electron. Okay. After substituting, and this would be the final potential barrier. Coming to the last question, it's a very simple question. For the relations R is equal to R naught into A power 1 by 3. Here R naught is the constant and A is the mass number of the given nucleus. Show that the nuclear matter density is nearly constant. So we are going to find nuclear density. Okay. First we'll write the given things. R is equal to R naught into A power 1 by 3. Right. So the nuclear density that is rho is equal to nuclear mass by volume. So that is nuclear mass means mass of the nucleus into its mass number divided by volume. Nucleus is spherical in shape, no? So for a sphere, what is the volume formula? 4 by 3 pi r cube. Therefore nuclear density rho is equal to, the 3 goes here. So 3 into mass of the nucleus into the mass number divided by 4 pi, or we can substitute the value, that is R naught into A power 1 by 3 the whole cube. Okay. The next step, 3 into MA divided by 4 pi, that is 3.14 into, the cube is common for both. So R naught cube into A power 1 by 3 whole cube. So the cube cancel and the A and A also cancel. So finally the density would be, the final density is 3 into mass of the nucleus divided by 4 pi R naught cube. So this would approximately equal to constant. Hence we have shown that the nuclear matter density is nearly constant. Okay. So we know the radius of the nuclei, that is R is equal to R naught into A power 1 by 3. So density is the ratio between mass and volume. So this is nuclear density. So it is the ratio between nuclear mass to the volume of the nucleus. After substituting and rearranging, then the final nuclear density would approximately equal to a constant.